Hello and welcome back to Universal Love Law. So today I'm going to be making a video all about the shadow side, okay? So let's jump right into this, okay? So first and foremost, I'm going to break down what is our shadow side. And honestly, it deals with more unconscious things than conscious, okay? So it deals with our subconscious thoughts and our subconscious mind, right? So, you gotta drink your water, guys. So when you, first and foremost, I want to give a disclaimer. This video is to help people understand aspects of spirituality and aspects of yourself. That is not an easy task for everyone. Some people find that quite challenging. And if you're here on this video, my hopes is that you have the intention to want to get more understanding and knowledge around the context of our shadow side, and really with the intent to help yourself heal your shadow side by understanding what it is and having a deeper understanding for the shadow side aspects of ourselves, yourself, and being able to integrate them into your life now so that you could be a healthier, happier, whole, more well-rounded person, and you can wake up every day of your life with purpose, okay? So, what is the shadow side? The shadow side, it deals with our most hidden and unconscious behaviors and thoughts and beliefs about ourselves that we kind of bury, and we don't want to acknowledge that they are there. But throughout life, we're always being triggered from the emotions that our shadow side gives us. Now, let's talk about first and foremost, what is the shadow side? The shadow side is the inner child, the inner womb, the inner feelings and emotions that are triggered from lower vibrational frequencies that are rooted in fear, shame, guilt, and those lower vibratory energies. Okay, so now let's talk about what triggers our shadow side, because honestly, they're developed through childhood. So we have our wounds that are created in childhood, and a lot of them, the list goes on and on about how the shadow side is developed with certain scenarios that have taken place throughout history. So a lot of it deals with our generation, our families we're born into, our educational level on child development and things of that nature. What is considered a healthy way of parenting and an unhealthy way of parenting. So a lot of people that have a lot of inner wounds, where maybe they were definitely raised in homes where there was some form of neglect or some form of abuse, and that varies, right? And so the thing about it is, it's not always just a bad thing. Like when this person was a child, they were beat to death, or when this person was a child, they were starved, or things of that nature. No, it's way more in depth. So like, it could be a child, a person, let's say you or me, being raised in a very well-established home where there's financial security and there's all of these aspects of life that make life quote-unquote good. But what if the child was never allowed to express their true feelings about how they feel, or tap into their imaginary side? Okay, because the family shunned that or quiet that, or you know what I mean? Or like, let's say there's something that as a kid you wanted to experience that you weren't able to, due to it being against your family's beliefs, right? Some people have families that are born into religions that they don't celebrate birthdays, okay? So, or holidays. So it's a lot of reasons in history, whether it be religion, whether it be culture. Some people are born into families where their cultures are defined in ways of the masculine is the dominant and the feminine is not, is the submissive. And so it's really important to understand what where our shadow side lies is all of those inner childhood wounds that we have experienced over time. But at the same time, we have to remember the fact that these are people who grow up and have a vendetta with their family or with their caregivers, because in the family and caregivers, they're like, what? We did everything for you. What are you talking about? You had everything. But it was some things about that child that you did not notice and you did not take the time out to. And those are how the shadow side, this is how the shadow side is built and created, okay? So before we get to how we can heal that, we're going to have to go through what it is first and foremost. It's ideologies and belief systems that were built in our child mind and that were created in our child mind, where we're not even able to really conceive or understand thoughts, let alone break them down. We're not able to conceive thoughts that are on a higher intelligent realm with understanding, okay, like a maturity level. There can be some children that are very educated and very smart and just put two and two together, have high IQs, or they're very tapped into and aware of right and wrong. And, if they're not given the ability to mature that seed and understand it and process that information, instead they're sidetracked by whatever that family's roots are. Okay, we always celebrate this at this family, or we don't celebrate this in this family. Whatever ideas and beliefs that we're kind of cultivating within the child can be a form of abuse or neglect if it's not being supported or being able to open the floor to have dialogue and discussion about it, right? And so us as parents, we don't realize how much harm we're doing to our children because we're trying to work. We're trying to get these bills paid. We're trying to do all these things. But we have to take a look and realize that the shadow side is developed in childhood. So what makes a person able to understand and tap into their shadow side and become healthy, wholehearted, well-rounded people is definitely their ability to go within and feel the emotions that are being provoked and desire understanding on these emotions. But that is very hard for people to do if they lack education and if they lack knowledge and if they lack awareness of self. And a lot of the world that we have been exposed to has kind of like deactivated our ability to want to go in, or our desire to want to go in, because everything's so physical in this world, on this earthly plane. And the elites did a good job of distracting the people and distracting them with all type of physical possessions or desires, beliefs of what life should be, American dream, all these type of things, right? All the while we're really disowning our own shadow side, which is very unhealthy, because what it does is it play out in our life. So let's say you have your own set of shadow aspects. Now we're not trying, okay, that's another part of the disclaimer. We're not here to do this work together, one big group. That's not safe, and I wouldn't even encourage you. Honestly, I would encourage people, which I'm going to actually get to. I'm going to would encourage people to do this work alone, okay? You can do it, and I'll get to that. So let's talk about the triggers. So first and foremost, let's say you have everyone on this earth has their own set of shadow aspects. Everyone's is different. It is the beliefs that we have about ourselves that are lower vibrational, okay? That deal in feelings that are guilt, shame, regret, loss, lack, resistance, all of these, inner qualities that we possess that are triggered by people, places, possessions, and the feelings, okay? So other people trigger your shadow side to come out, and when we feel triggered, so it's really, really, really important to be in the now and be very aware of who you're around, because we don't realize that they may be triggering a shadow aspect of ourselves and making us act out in ways that are only feeding the ego, okay? We're not working on ourselves. We're not becoming humble and grounded people with the understanding and knowledge of self, which is why it's the most important thing to even want to know what your shadow side is. If we are being distracted by friends or family members or people just in general that are triggering an aspect of ourself, how do people trigger it? Different cultures. So let's say you're one race and you're around other race of people. That could definitely trigger some shadow aspects of yourself, because you never know what a person has been through in childhood. Let's say that people, okay, we're not going to get into possessions yet, but that kind of goes along with people. So let's say people have a certain level of vernacular. They're able to, the way they deliver their ideas and thoughts, the way they communicate may be a trigger for you. So that's definitely a trigger, actually, because some people that choose to be brainwashed with what our culture should be or what your culture should be, they talk a certain way, but let's say someone else comes around and they talk a different way. It can be triggering shadow aspects of yourself that tell you I'm not smart enough, or you know what I mean? So and these are all the shadow side beliefs that we can even, this is the crazy part about the shadow side. You can be telling yourself like, I am smart, I am beautiful, but if your subconscious, if you have subconscious beliefs that you don't go within to remember or to try to bring up to understanding it, then it won't matter what you look in the mirror and tell yourself, because all you're doing is you're burying the shadow aspect of yourself even further deeper in. People do this all the time with material things, like this whole movement of makeup and hair and all the, I mean, I'm really into braiding my hair, getting my hair done, jewelry, of course, and things of that nature. But it's become perverted. It's become dysmorphia. Like, it's become like you wanting to change your whole natural anatomy. And it's become distorted. So that's something that, could really be a trigger from your inner shadow side. And so what are our inner shadows? Based on insecurities and lower vibrational frequencies. Okay, so it's really important to know that triggers, when we're talking about triggers, other people can trigger these feelings in you. You ever see a person that can't go to the mailbox with a ponytail? They have to be dolled out. They can't do one thing without just being normal or looking like what they look like, throw a jacket on and go run out and do something. It's always like, I can't go nowhere looking like that. Or all of these are aspects of our ego. These are aspects of our shadow side, of the belief systems that our family members taught us. So what we do is we project our insecurities onto other people, because other people may feel that you are talking about them, like, or you're making that like, let's say this is a belief that you have within yourself that is a root directly linked to the shadows aspect of yourself, but you've created a whole belief system of what people should and should not look like, or how people should and should not talk or dress or walk, or all those things. So what you're doing is you're projecting that onto other people. You're activating their shadow side. So we are all merely reflections of each other's insecurities, ultimately, when we're not overstanding that we do have a shadow aspect of ourselves. And once we're able to go within and be able to sit with them, which I will talk about that more later in the video, but once we're able to go within, we're able to process the information, and that's when we'll be able to heal, and we won't no longer be reflecting off. This is why they say that I'm the mirror. We're mirrors, because what we're doing is we're projecting out our shadow sides onto people due to the beliefs that we were creating in our little young minds. Because we're so young, we're just trying to perceive and understand life. And if we were neglected or abused in some sort, whether it be a shadow way or very in your face directly, people who have had a lot of abandonment issues, like really neglect, like parents leaving them, not having their parents, these are all triggers. Let's say you're around people that, let's say you never had your parents, but you have friends that have their parents, and they don't even respect their parents. What do you think that will be doing to you? That will be activating an insecurity in you, and a deficiency that you didn't have that. They have that, and they don't even take it for granted. And if you don't have heart, you won't tell them about themselves. A lot of people don't have that heart to tell another person, like, you need to stop talking to your parents like that, or you need to not treat your partner like that. Some people can't find love. Some people do not have love and want love so bad, and they have friends that do, and they talk about their partners. What do you think that's going to do to a person that has a shadow side of insecurities and feeling like they will never find love again? Especially if they don't have the heart to stand up and tell another person, like, you know, you shouldn't treat a person like that. And if they don't have the heart, if you don't have the heart to do that, meaning it just will hurt you too bad, or you're in fear of what might happen, you might lose a friend, being able to walk away is having heart. Being able to walk away from that person and knowing that this person is triggering an aspect of you that you are not happy with, an aspect of you that is making you feel that childhood wound again. And so your wounds are different than others. Remember that. I'm not saying this is everybody's wounds. Everybody has their own set of wounds. And like I say, disclaimer, I'm not encouraging you to walk around telling people your wounds, or just obsessing over trying to figure out what your wounds are. It will come up. Just be in the moment. When you're in the moment, people will activate aspects in yourself. And that is when you are supposed to be aware of this feeling of insecurity. Understand and try to trace back where it came from. This is the work we must do. Where did that stem from? If you don't have someone to talk to about your childhood and the things that you went through, talk out loud to yourself. You could do the work alone. Like, just do it. You're never alone. So much progress can be done when you're by yourself talking about your own shadow aspects, your own childhood wounds out loud, because your guides are listening, and the answers will begin to reveal itself to you, and you'll be able to integrate that aspect of you into your daily life, and you were able to not blame other people, because people is the trigger for what they're doing, and you'll more so look at them as though they don't understand yet. They're not there, but they will get there eventually. They will. So let's move on to another trigger, is places. So certain places can trigger a person into their shadow side, like creepy, eerie old houses, or places where there's like very nice quality of things. That could trigger a person's insecurity, childhood wounds of not having. And you'll be surprised, right? You would think that a lot of people would like nice things. Some people are very turned off by it, and they prefer urban more. You know, not even just urban, because urban life is beautiful. But I'm saying for each person is different. some people are triggered. Their shadow aspects, their insecurities are triggered by the places that they go, because it brings them into a root aspects of themselves that they don't have this. Or let's say that they have a group of friends that are very well off, and they don't, they don't want their friends to come to their house. Like, I don't want them to come to my house, or I don't want them, certain places can really trigger that insecurity within yourself. And it's so important for us to overcome that. I feel like I did that very early on in life, because I bounced around a lot in my childhood. And I went from up to down. So I was able to understand all qualities of life and find the beauty in all qualities of life and places, and also be able to make home anywhere I go. And home is merely a reflection of what's within. So colors and the vibration that I send off in any place, whether it be the most uppity, flashy, whatever you want to call it, or most, lacking of, and, I'm able to really bring forth my vibrational energy into any place that I go, because I've integrated my shadow side. I've integrated that aspect of me, not even belonging to any place, and being able to understand that my purpose is being activated, and I'm fulfilling my purpose wherever I go, whether it be in the slums, the ghettos, or whether it be in a very nice area. It doesn't matter. And so I'm not defined by that anymore. But some places can really trigger a person's shadow side. Possession. So certain things that other people have really, really trigger shadow side. Ooh, this is probably one of the most common, outside of the people being a trigger, but the possessions, things, worldly things, like, oh my God, like, so many people have sold their soul and done so many just horrible things for possessions, worldly items, and things outside of themselves that have no real value. Possessions are one of the most biggest aspects of our shadow side, and the reason why a lot of our insecurities exist is because we didn't have lack. There are people that have childhood insecurities, that childhood wounds that replace their family members or the people that we're supposed to have with things. This is why it's not good to spoil the child. When you do that, when you just give them everything they want, or when they're experiencing an emotional outburst and you just try to reward them by shutting them up with food or something, it really tells them, it makes them feel that if they have more, they are filling the void, that they have something the more that they have. And things can be food, it can be clothes, it can be material purse objects, it can be money, it can be, whatever a person values. But it really, really is powerful, like how possessions and how things outside of ourselves really, really are a root to our childhood wounds. And so I think it's very important for people, like, I'm pretty sure 99.9% of people on the earth, a part of their shadow side deals with possessions, okay? And some of them are very justified. Like, let's say you grew up homeless with your parents. To have a home is everything to you. To have a car is everything to you. Like, it really depends on a person. Now, let's not say that makes it right or wrong. There is no right or wrong in the universe, because what will you do to get that home? What will you do to get that car? What will you do to get those clothes? So this is how people sell their souls. A lot of their shadow aspect of them is triggered because of the possessions that they want. They're feeling a void of something they always wanted because they saw others having it. That is a part of their insecurities. Some people are able to magnetize things to them more than others due to their planetary alignments, right? Their spiritual and energetic, their energetic signature, what they possess their energies within them. Everybody has a different chart. Everybody has a different role in life. So some people are able to really magnetize materials and things to them and attain them quicker, but they can still be in the act of just feeling a void, you know? And it's powerful because we realize that a lot of people, let's say you are a wholehearted person and you don't have any intentions to make a person feel insecure because you have things. So when you come around them, these are things you worked for. These are things that you have put blood, sweat, and tears in. You walked miles, you drove, you put time, and you put your time and effort and energy to having these things in life. And here you go coming around somebody that you love and you're triggering their shadow side because they don't have things. They don't have this, they don't have that. It gets deep like that, you know? And some people will go to the extreme measures to gaining possessions by selling their soul. And selling your soul could be just the contracts we make with others. Like, it isn't like this big Illuminati. Like, that's such a small percentage of the world. Like, we're talking about people that are every day living their life selling their souls based on the choices that they're making. Like, you selling drugs, or you, I'm not going against anybody that is. I'm not your maker. I'm not the one judging you. So I'm not judging what a person does or the extreme measures they may take to obtaining more possessions. It could be for good or bad, whatever, you know. Like, this is where it gets complex, okay? And I'm the one that's here to understand it. I've integrated a lot of my shadow aspects of myself. So when I talk about right and wrong or good and bad, I know in reality there is no right or wrong in the universe. It's all in your intention. So some people have this, they may be making choices and taking actions that are causing more harm to others than it is good. So how can you possibly not see that as a act of selling your soul if you're going against human nature, if you're adding to the pain and hurt and loss to another family member for your own gain? If you're degrading yourself, and I'm not trying to put people down, like, seriously, don't try to put this perception on me. I might be triggering you, okay? So, it's no right or wrong. This is a sticky subject, but I'm gonna talk about it. So let's say, you might be doing, illegal things, or the government is so corrupt though, so they're doing illegal things in their own damn judicial system. But yeah, so let's say that you're doing anything that makes you feel degraded, that make you put other people's down. These are all aspects of selling yourself out for a possession. Ultimately, that is stemmed from your shadow side, your childhood wounds. And I like to say that eventually you'll wake up and realize it. A lot of people aren't that far gone. There are a lot of people that have no more soul left. And I'll talk about that later. But as for people who are here to really understand what your shadow side is, we have to acknowledge the fact that these are thoughts that might come up in our mind. We may get these really wild thoughts to getting more money, to buying more things, to filling a void within ourselves that was created in childhood due to an insecurity of lack. Okay? So once we're able to integrate this, we can look at a drug dealer, a stripper, a porn star, a hooker, whatever you want to call it. All of these more underground, which I will talk about. Okay? Because we are not here to judge. Don't judge unless you want to be judged. Okay? Everybody is on their own journey. And a lot of these people that are in the underworld have more of a heart than a lot of these people that are so-called good people, righteous people, okay? So I'm definitely going to do a video about the underworld and breaking it down and how there is a light in the dark. But that's coming in the future. But yeah, so when we talk about the shadow side, people, places, and things, people, places, possessions, these are triggers for us. Okay, so let's move on. So a lot of us cannot complain about why our life is the way it is. We have to understand that our shadow side is always hunting us. It's our subconscious thoughts, okay? It's what's happening. It's not a conscious thing. It's something that's happening. And so once we're able to be true, authentic, mature human beings, humanoids, once we're able to really step into our divine purpose and understand that we need help, we may be looking right and feeling right and all these things, but we're always on the journey of life in integrating our shadow side into our life, our subconscious into our conscious. We have to take responsibility for the actions that we may have made and the lies that we have told ourselves. We are so quick to point the finger and say, you didn't do this for me. You didn't do that to me. A strong, healthy way into integrating your shadow side is by going within and remembering the situation, understanding how it played out, how it happened, and realizing that you had a big role to play in that. You had a very big role to play in that. Even when you were younger, you were downloading all this information and you were building upon your shadow side, right? But in all actuality, when you become an adult, if you're not doing the work by reflecting and going back and forgiving those who have hurt you and forgiving the ones you have hurt due to your insecurities, due to your inner childhood wounds, if you don't go back and forgive yourself first and then forgive others, then you will not be doing the shadow work required for you to be a more healthier, happier person. When you forgive others, you're in the steps to integrating your shadow side into your conscious. Okay? So that once you, so the lies that you tell yourself and the lies that we have told others, we have to reawaken to the fact that they are lies. This is where you begin to define who you are. This is when you begin to take back your power, because you are not the lies that you told yourself due to the lies that the people told you, okay? And you have to believe that, and you have to get that inspiration in you to tell yourself that, okay? So that's the first step to integrating your shadow side and going within. It requires a lot of inner healing. How do you heal something? By acknowledging that it's there and putting good intention to it. When you get hurt, you see a wound, you start to nurture yourself, right? You rinse the wound. You may put something on it to heal it. You may wrap it up. A person that's, not to be so graphic, but severely wounded, you don't see them just letting it just fly out. They hold it. They hold it. They hold where they're hurt. They hold it. They hold it. They protect it. They acknowledge that it's there. They can't help it. It's painful. So we have to understand that when you're working on your shadow self, you can't help it. It's painful. It's painful. And so once we're able to begin the healing process, which is painful, we acknowledge it. We see it for what it is. Without any emotion. We become objective to the thoughts and the feelings. That is very hard, because it's so easy for us to have thoughts and opinions on, when there was a disjustice given to you, right? But we don't never want to just allow ourselves to observe it. We'll even go to the extreme lengths of putting ourselves in the other person's shoes to justify why the choice that they made was right or wrong. Like, well, I understand why they did that to me because, I was yelling and I didn't know. It's not about that. We're not here to justify the wrongdoings that others did to you as a child that created your inner wounds, or the wrongdoings that you did to others based on the wounds that were given to you by the people who were supposed to take care of you and love you and the friends that you had, right? So we're going to take all that justification out, because that's the ego. We want to justify things. No, we need to sit with it. How do you sit with it? Okay, let's practice. Let's say that you have the insecurity of being ugly, but you don't tell yourself that in the mirror, but some people do. But let's say you just tell yourself like, I'm so beautiful, and you're doing that to just, you know, keep yourself up. But you may have been told as a kid that you were ugly for something, a feature, whatever. Instead of us saying that that person was wrong and we didn't deserve that and all that, you know, let's sit with it. Let's observe it. Sitting with it for a while, like, that happened. Feeling that pain arise. Feeling it for a moment, okay? For a moment, you have to feel it. You have to understand it. You have to process it. It's not about adding value to it or adding a justification to it or adding something to it for it to make sense. That will come later. But once you take the steps and process of feeling it, processing it, analyzing it, observing it for what it is, being objective, meaning no emotion. You're not even looking at the situation as if it was you. You're looking at it as it was a situation that played out in a moment of time. And that's how it played out. Interesting. That's when you begin to heal it. You don't want to justify the other person. You don't want to justify yourself. You just want to acknowledge it, that these things happen. Did it feel good? Ask yourself that. No. Do you want that to happen again? No. What would you do if it happened again? You will realize that this is what people do. People hurt people, hurt people, hurt people. You know, you really just got to process it, okay? And there are people that can help you do that. Now I'm going to get to that. I encourage shadow work to be done alone if you have the strength, the mental strength, and emotional strength to do so. You shouldn't be wanting to just do shadow work all day, every day. It's not something that happens like that. Remember, you'll be triggered. You will be triggered by people, places, and things. So note that when those triggers arise, lock it in your mind like, okay. And then when you find time to go home and be alone, even if you are so biased in that moment, like, ooh, I don't know why she said that, or I don't know why they looked at me like that, or I don't know what, you know, I don't know why I felt like that, or they tried to make me feel like that, whatever. If we go overlook all that, lock that experience in that moment, that trigger in your mind, you know, being out, or, you know, it could be a family member, it could be a lover, it could be your kids, it could be your coworkers, it could be anybody that triggers some type of emotion in you, and then lock it in your mind, go home and process it without no emotion. Be objective. Be objective and observe it. Then all the answers will come to you. Okay? But some people cannot control their emotions. I have to acknowledge that. And so if you want help with helping you to integrate your shadow side into your consciousness so that you can live a more healthier and happier life as a humble person, and so that you can heal your inner wounds, ask your guides. They won't let you down. I could refer somebody, but what one person might do for me, they can't do for you probably, you know, or they may be able, but they can't do for Shayla or Tyler or Kiana or I'm just making up all kind of names, but you know, you never know. Like, it's just whoever, everybody can't do the same thing for everybody. So why would I encourage you to go with this person? What I will do is encourage you to keep learning, okay? Keep learning and keep getting the information on the shadow side. Like, Google it, watch videos, meditate, ask those questions to your guides. Meditation doesn't look the same for everyone. Some people could be just sitting up in front of a TV meditating, but you think they're watching a movie, but really they're going within and they're having conversations with their guides and they're processing information, or they're just being still and letting all the thoughts pass by, right? So it's so much stuff happening in the mind. The mind is the most powerful thing on the planet. So, and along with the heart. So when we talk about what you should do, it's really important for you to learn more about the shadow side. Be in the moment when you are being triggered by something that is an insecurity or causes you to feel fear or lower vibrational frequency, right? Lock it in your mind, go home, process that information, understand, be objective, and understand what happened. So that way, when you move forward in life, when that situation happens again, you no longer are triggered because you already did the work. You processed it, you understood it, and now you can have more compassion for others because you understand that they're just not there yet, okay? So if you want somebody to help you find out how to help you heal your inner child and your shadow side, go within. Ask your guides, ask your creator, ask your angels. I want help in understanding myself more. Like, can you send someone to me? And they may come in the form of a video. It may come in the form of whatever. But yeah, so please let me know what you think about this video. Thank you so much for tuning in to Universal Love Law. Peace.